ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. This is Tanush, and today I've come up with a very interesting topic, especially for the unmarried youth who are aspiring to get married. So, it is the timing of marriage as per the Vedic astrology. As we know, any important event in life is predestined, which means there is a proper time for that event to happen, and this is clearly depicted in one's chart or kundali. So today we'll see what are the significators for marriage, what are the houses in astrology which indicate marriage, and what are the transits which help a person to get married. And I would also like to focus on not in detail but a few scenarios where the marriage can be delayed or denied. So let's start off. Now, the two main important planets which are considered as significators of marriage in astrology are Venus and Jupiter. Also, the Lord of the seventh house, but Lord of the seventh house differs based on the ascendant. So, it's mainly Venus and Jupiter. So, in a man's chart, Venus represents his wife, and in a woman's chart, Jupiter represents the husband. So the dignity of these two planets and how they are placed and how comfortable they are, also their directional strength, uh, clearly indicates how the marriage is going to be. Whether it would be comfortable or it would be great, or there would be some issues in the marriage. This partly signifies how the marriage would be. So let us see, in astrology, what are the houses which signify the marriage. So in astrology, there are three important houses which signify marriage. They are the second house, the seventh house, and the 11th house. Let us see each house in little detail. So why the second house? Now, we all know the second house represents our family. It represents our family environment and the family nourishment. So, whenever a person is running under dasha of or the major planetary period of the second house, it clearly implies that the person will get all the chances to get married, or the person would be married during the dasha of the second house. Also, when there are some benefit aspects to the second house, it clearly indicates addition to the family. So, which can mean marriage, or if a person is married, it can also mean birth of a child. So that is about the second house. Now, seventh house, we all know it clearly signifies the house of marriage, and it is considered the house of marriage in astrology. It represents the legal binding between a man and woman. Man and woman, I mean, in today's scenario, it can be anything. But generally, as per the Vedic astrology, it is considered, a legal binding or contract between a man and a woman. So many aspects are considered when we refer to the seventh house, like which sign owns the seventh house, who is the Lord of the seventh house, where the Lord of seventh house is sitting, how comfortable the Lord is. Then the nakshatras of the seventh of the Lord of the seventh house are also considered. So each planet owns almost like a few nakshatras, like kind of 3 or 2 nakshatras. So any planet sitting in the nakshatra of the Lord of the seventh house, so that can also indicate, or they also contribute to the marriage of that person. So the dignity of the seventh house is quite important, and in some cases which we'll discuss later, the house is kind of under pressure, so the marriage may be delayed in those cases. Now, coming to the 11th house, 11th house is also a very, very important house, because it represents fulfillment of one's desire, fulfillment of one's hopes and wishes. So when a person has attained the age of marriage, the person is ready for the marriage, and somehow the 11th house is activated either by Mahadasha or Antardasha, or during some transit the 11th house is activated and the person is strongly desiring marriage, so that is the time when the 11th house will be obliged to get the person married. So it will give all the opportunities for the person to get married. So we have been talking about Mahadasha. So I would like to discuss little bit about what is a Mahadasha. So Mahadasha is a major planetary period owned by a single planet. So in our life we go through Mahadasha of different planets, and each planet has a predefined time span which they own. For example, suppose if a person is born in Rahu Mahadasha, so Rahu Mahadasha is almost for 18 years. So the person will go through Rahu Mahadasha, and after that, the Jupiter Mahadasha comes. So Jupiter Mahadasha is for 16 years, and we can easily tell what a person would be undergoing, or what would be the person's focus during the 16 years of Mahadasha by looking at where Jupiter is placed in the horoscope. Jupiter owns two houses, so which houses the Jupiter owns and where the Jupiter aspects. So this would be the main focus of the person's activity during the entire Jupiter Mahadasha. So after 16 years of Jupiter Mahadasha, a person will again enter into a 19-year period of Saturn Mahadasha. So again the same principle applies, where the Saturn is sitting, which two houses Saturn owns, what are those houses, and based on the dignity of Saturn, one can easily predict what the person would be focusing during those 19 years, or what the person will be dealing with. And after the Saturn Mahadasha, the Mercury Mahadasha of 17 years comes. So it's a cycle, and the cycle goes on. So at the present age, which is known as Kali Yuga, the lifespan of a person is reducing. So now it is approximately 70 plus years. So and it is expected that it might further reduce. But in this age, we may not be able to complete the entire cycle of all the planets. So that is the concept of Mahadasha. Now, when can a person get married? Which we already discussed, second, 7th and the 11th houses signify marriage. So suppose a person has started the Mahadasha of second house. So which means the second house is activated. So as soon as the second house is activated and the person is ready to get married and is looking out for his partner, then the Dasha Lord will somehow arrange for things. The person will meet his partner, or it can be a love marriage or arranged marriage. So that's a different topic. We'll deal with that in detail in my next video. So the person would be introduced to the partner, and the person's marriage would be settled. Similarly, when suppose the dasha of the 7th house is running and the person attains the age of marriage and is looking out for marriage, then the 7th house will help the person to get his partner. Similarly, the 11th house. So so the dasha of these three houses are considered benefic, and they generally help a person to get married. Now the second scenario we would say is that suppose a person is going through a benefic dasha, which is not very bad, or which is not impacting his house of marriage in a malefic way or in a bad way. So so the dasha can be a neutral or a very good dasha, and the transit of planets happen in such a way that they activate the second house or the 7th house or the 11th house in different ways, which we'll discuss now. Then the person will again get a chance to get married, or will be introduced to his life partner. So the lord of the second house, 7th house and 11th house in transit, we all know that in transit the planets are always on the move, 365 days a year, 24/7. They are always on the move. So during this transit, when the exact time comes, the Lord of the second, seventh, and 11th house are in the respective houses during the transit. That is considered the perfect alignment for a person to get married. Now, even if the Lord's exchange places or come in conjunction in these three houses, that is also considered, a very suitable timing for a person to get married. So, which means, suppose the Lord of the second house is comes in the seventh house, Lord of the seventh house comes in the 11th house, and Lord of the 11th house comes in the second house. That is also a perfect timing for a marriage. Or Lord of second and seventh house are conjunct in the 11th house. That is also considered to be a perfect time for marriage. So this is how the transit of planets, especially of these three houses, imply that a person will get married. So as an example, let us consider the Gemini ascendant. So for the Gemini ascendant, the second house is owned by Moon. It's a sign of Cancer. The seventh house is owned by Jupiter, and the 11th house is owned by Mars. So during the transit, like we discussed, suppose the moon comes in this. So moon is a very fast moving. It is the fastest moving planet. So it changes sign every 2.5 days. It changes the sign. Also sun. Sun is also the second. We can say the second fastest moving planet. It changes. Or it covers a journey in a particular sign in 1 month. So suppose the moon comes in the second house for a Gemini ascendant. The Jupiter comes in the seventh house and Mars comes in the 11th house. It's a perfect alignment. Or moon can be in the 11th house, Mars can be in the second house or the 7th house, and Jupiter can be in the second house. Or moon and Jupiter can be conjunct in the 7th house, Mars can be in the 11th house. So all these combinations of these three houses bring a perfect alignment for the marriage of that particular person. Next, let us consider Jupiter plays a very important role, because Jupiter is a very positive planet, very optimistic planet. It represents expansion. So, in transit, suppose a person is undergoing a very good Mahadasha, uh, and in transit, somehow either Jupiter comes into the 11th house, second house, or the 7th house, or Jupiter sitting somewhere aspects the one of these three houses. It also implies that a person can get married. So for example, let us consider the Gemini ascendant. Suppose that Jupiter transits into the 11th house of Aries. So from the 11th, first is Jupiter has entered into the 11th house of hopes and wishes. So if a person is desiring marriage, he will get married. From the 11th house, Jupiter aspects. So Jupiter has three aspects. So every planet has different aspects. We'll deal with that in the future videos. So Jupiter has three aspects. It aspects the 5th house from itself, the 7th house from itself, and the 9th house from itself. So when Jupiter is in the 11th house, it aspects the 5th house with its 7th aspect, and then it also aspects the 7th house with its 9th aspect, which again indicates perfect time for marriage. So Jupiter can be sitting in the ascendant and aspecting the 7th house, which also indicates time for marriage. So this is how the benefic aspect of Jupiter helps. Even aspect of Venus is also equally powerful. Suppose all other parameters are set and Venus in the transit aspects one of these three houses, it also implies that a person will get married. So now I would like to discuss about few scenarios which would imply that there would be a delay in the marriage. So the first one is directly related to Mahadasha, or the planetary time period which the person is running under. So if the Mahadasha doesn't promise marriage, then during the entire period of Mahadasha, the person would be struggling to get married. Probably sometimes when the transits are positive, it might look that a person might get married, the marriage may be settled, but unfortunately it will not happen. So especially when it is a Mahadasha of the 6th Lord, because 6th Lord is 12th from the 7th Lord. So sorry, 12th from the 7th house, which indicates loss of 7th house. So 7th house signifies marriage, which indicates loss of marriage. So especially when a person is running under the dasha of sixth house, it's little difficult for the person to get married during that period. Now the second scenario is when the planet Saturn is involved. So Saturn is generally considered the planet of delay. So it generally delays things, it frustrates a person, things go very slowly when Saturn is involved. So if the Saturn is Lord of seventh house, like for Cancer and Leo ascendant, Saturn is Lord of seventh house. So this is one scenario. Or if Saturn is sitting in the seventh house, that would be the second scenario. Or if the Saturn is sitting somewhere in the chart and aspecting the seventh house, like the Saturn may be sitting in the ascendant and directly aspecting the house opposite to it with its seventh aspect, or Saturn may be sitting in the fifth house aspecting the seventh house. So this clearly implies delay in the marriage. So how can this be cancelled? Suppose Jupiter is sitting somewhere in the chart and it is either aspecting the seventh house or it is aspecting Saturn, then this problem will be broken, which means that Saturn will not be able to delay the marriage and the marriage will happen on time as promised by Dasha or Mahadasha or transits. So Jupiter plays a vital role. So if Saturn is sitting in the seventh house, uh, for example, for Cancer ascendant, suppose Saturn is sitting in the seventh house of Capricorn and Jupiter is in the ascendant aspecting Saturn. So Jupiter cancels the delay and the marriage will happen on time. Similarly, Jupiter can be sitting anywhere in the 11th house or in the ascendant and aspecting the 7th house. It will cancel the delay. And suppose if, like we discussed, Saturn is sitting in the ascendant and Jupiter is sitting, somewhere like in the ninth house and aspecting the 11th house in the chart, sorry, the 12th house, which means it is aspecting Saturn, then it cancels the delay. So Jupiter plays a very vital role in cancelling the malefic effect of Saturn, especially related to delay. Now the third scenario may be the presence of a malefic planet in the seventh house. Malefic planet, even Saturn is a malefic, natural malefic planet. So suppose Saturn or Rahu or Ketu are sitting, um, or some combinations of malefic planets, or it can also be a functional malefic in conjunction with a natural malefic. So these are the scenarios where a person's marriage may be delayed or there may be hurdles in the marriage. So unless again Jupiter is aspecting the house, things will move very slowly or there will be a lot of trouble in marriage. Another scenario is when the seventh house lord is severely damaged. So if the seventh house lord is severely damaged, it will bring a lot of impediments in the marriage. Or if the seventh house is heavily under pressure, so this happens when it is under Pap Kartari Yoga, which means there are two malefics on either side of the seventh house, that is the sixth house and the eighth house, pressurizing the seventh house so much that the marriage would naturally be delayed. So these are the situations which generally delay the marriage. I would like to touch base on a very important concept of marriage compatibility in Vedic astrology. I'll not get into details because it's a separate topic and has to be dealt in detail. I'll just touch base and leave it there. So marriage compatibility in Vedic astrology is very, very important. So in this current time and age when all the religious principles are considered to be quite orthodox and they are considered to be things of the past. People generally say that this is all kind of old fashioned, we are living in new age, but marriage compatibility is very, very important for a person to live a normal happy married life, or at least a normal married life. Now why is it that? So during the marriage compatibility, when we check two horoscopes to match whether they can go ahead with marriage, we check at different levels. So at a very high level, I can say, the first level of check would be the physical compatibility. So physically, how they relate to each other. The second level of check we do is the mental compatibility, which is something to do with the moon, because moon represents the way you think. Moon represents, many other things, the way of thinking, how emotional you are, how you know, what you are desiring in life. So the mental compatibility has to be done, and I feel the mental compatibility is very, very important, more important than anything else, because uh, when two people are getting married, they may go through different situations in life, but if they think alike, or if they connect mentally, they will somehow, get together and cross over all the problems. And at the third level, there is again emotional compatibility. So in emotional compatibility, we check how emotionally they are connected with each other, because emotional connection is very, very important. You should be able to feel the pain of other person, what the person is undergoing, what are the emotional needs of a person, because nowadays we are seeing, this emotional and mental health is so important. People are undergoing tremendous stress, which is again at the mental, more subtle level, which again impacts the physical health. So these are the three important checks we do. There are many other checks we do, but these are the three major checks, I would say. So unless we do this, it's very difficult, because if they are not connected mentally, if they are not connected emotionally, then the marriage will go through, many issues, many problems, and the marriage may also break. So people are nowadays just behind the status, money, which is also very important. It's not that, you have to neglect that, but this check also has to be done. So there are many other topics in marriage, like, we have arranged marriage versus love marriage. So what are the scenarios which trigger love marriage? Uh, and what are the causes and signs of divorce? So all this I would like to cover in my upcoming videos. So if you guys want to know when is your time of marriage, you can consult me. You have my WhatsApp number, you can visit my site. So if you like my video, please subscribe to my channel. And as I said, if you want to consult me, you have all the details. So thank you so much for watching the video. Meet you all with the next video.